What if we Christians understood more of what God has already given us and what He will still give us? Many of us would probably live very differently and not be so preoccupied with the comforts of this world. Because Paul is aware of this, he prayed, as we saw last time, for enlightened eyes so that we may understand the hope of our calling, the riches of the glory of God's inheritance and the power that is at work in us. Paul explained that the same incredible power that God made effective in Christ when He raised Him from the dead and seated Him at His right hand in the heavenly realm is effective in us believers. Now, Paul goes on to explain to us what Christ is seated over. Far above all rule and authority and power and dominion, and above every name that is named, not only in this age, but also in the one to come. And He put all things under His feet, and gave Him as head over all things to the church, which is His body, the fullness of Him who fills all in all. Ephesians 1, verses 21 to 23. For some, the question could easily arise as to whether many invisible powers rule over humanity, and whether it would not be right to show them a certain reverence in order to win their friendship and help. Paul counters all these inclinations by pointing to Jesus, whom God revealed to us as His Son, and in whom He manifested all His power when He exalted Him above all powers. Nothing is so exalted and glorious, whatever it may be called, that it is not subject to Christ's majesty. He thus directs the Ephesians' gaze to the sovereignty of Jesus, because everything that belongs to the Christian faith depends on Jesus. Of course, Christ also stands high above human rulers. However, from Ephesians chapter 3 verse 10 and chapter 6 verse 12, one can conclude that these expressions refer to angelic beings. John Calvin also confirms this. The different names suggest that there are several ranks among the angels, but that it is not worth investigating them more closely, as this would be foolish curiosity and have nothing to do with true piety. William MacDonald also shares this opinion and speaks of good and evil angels, who can hold offices that even correspond to our human offices. But no matter how great their authority, power, and might may be, Christ stands high above them, and this applies not only in this world, but also in the world to come. Verse 22, And He put all things under His feet, and gave Him as head over all things to the church. Paul quotes Psalm 8:7, and according to Adolf Schlatter, removes all boundaries from Christ's realm of power, extending it as far as creation reaches. Within this vast dominion, a smaller circle is subordinate to Jesus in a special way. This inner circle does not have to serve Jesus without or against its will, as nature and the entire realm of spirits do. Rather, there is a living union here, because His dominion becomes care and creates community. God has given Jesus to the church so that He may be the head over all things, greater and richer than anything that comes to life in her through His grace. He is to determine everything that happens to her and judge everything that takes place in her. In all her members and in all her work, she depends on His will and lives from His riches. John Calvin writes very accurately, "If Christ is the head, then all angels and humans must be members at most, and there is no room for an earthly head of the church. We do not need such a one, for it is enough for the true unity of the church that every member of the body be attached to the one head, Christ. Anyone who does not want to submit to Him is not worthy to be called a member of the community." Verse 23, which is His body, the fullness of Him who fills all in all. The apostle cannot give the church a higher honorary title than to call it the fullness of Him who fills all in all. Just as the body needs the head, from which it receives life, unity, and guidance, so too does the head need the body, because it has in it the instrument through which its will is carried out. This is the high honor and importance of the church. As the property of Christ, it not only receives blessings and benefits for itself, and becomes strong, blessed, and alive through God, but it also serves Him in a way that cannot be done in any other way. For in it, Christ has the brothers through whom He reveals His love. the instruments through which he does the will of God, the property through which he makes visible the glory of divine grace. Calvin notes that God's Son does not consider himself to be filled to the full until he has united himself with us. Christ can only fulfill his office by creating and perfecting the church. Therefore, it is through the church that he achieves his goal and completes his work. What a comfort this is for us! Christ is only complete when he has us with him. The body is not whole when its limbs are missing. But lest anyone fall into the mistaken conclusion that Christ is poor when we make him rich, the apostle emphasizes with all emphasis that he governs and fills all creatures, and therefore also us. It is not any lack of his own that drives Jesus, but rather his all-encompassing love when he calls us out of nothing into existence in order to dwell and live within us. And so we come to the end of the first chapter of the epistle to the Ephesians. What a chapter! What goes through your mind when you read this passage? Let me know in the comments, and see you next time.